What's up, Devils? J-Dog back for another fucking video. And today's video, we're going to be going over the Devils commenting in come on, you goddamn piece of shit fucking phone. The best single album band. And Diabolic and Insane Talk, goddammit. This one got quite a few views, and I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think anybody, like, even just, throwing bands in the topic like Diabolic and Insane. Didn't think anyone would know or care. And it's got 96 fucking comments. I did scroll through them for the most part. I didn't make it all the way to the bottom, but I was like, yeah, there's a couple pretty decent questions in here that'll get me some shit to fucking say. So, but yeah, 96 comments, quite a few. And yeah, over 1,000 views. We know when video hits over 1,000 views for this shit-ass channel, that's kicking ass over here. Want to see that on every video, 1,000 plus. Can't wait till that day come, which shouldn't be too much longer. Maybe 2-3 more months, we'll be on our way, right? So anyways, without no further fucking ado, first one I saw was from Crusader of Blasphemy. And he says, bought a Diabolic Supreme Evil shirt from $99 for only $25 on eBay. Fucking score. Yeah, that's cheap as fuck. Cause shit, I mean, when I bought it, it was probably $20 or $25 back then. I don't think it was $99 when I got those. I think it was early 2000s. Something like that. Yeah, but it was definitely at the show. Insane Total Alarm is 2005. Yeah, and it's a great one. Question. That's what I'm here for. Since you and I would praise Centurion all night, all day, got that right. Have you listened to Nox? More specifically, I can't even pronounce it, the Eigzagzer album. Spiritual successor to Centurion. Also super stoked for the Angel Corp shirts. Yeah, Angel Corp shirts are they're in stock now, and they just went online yesterday. By the time you see this video, probably like a week ago or so. Yeah, I do know the Nox. I do own it. Actually, it's right behind me. Here it is. It's been quite some time since I listened to it, but yeah, this is I think it's just Rob from Centurion, right? Maybe Rob on guitar and Wim. But here it is here. Yeah, and then Eigzagzer, it's stapled fucking weird. I think it had upside down. It's like fucking reversed, the panel. It's like, that's kind of weird. Never seen that before. It's like fucking, yeah, printed upside down. I don't know if that was intentional or not. But I'm pretty sure this is Rob from Centurion, the guitar player. It's funny because the first song on here is called Corazonic Chaos Gods. And this came out in 2007 on Earache Records, which is a little fucking weird. Don't know why I was on Earache. Where's the fucking lineup in here? They're not even, oh, here. Well, this fucking thing is weird. Yeah, it's all printed backwards. It's had to be intentional. Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, everything's printed reverse. What is this, fucking Chinese, goddammit? So, yeah, it looks like Rob, Bob, Patrick. Oh, that's probably, I'm assuming that's the same Patrick. But I didn't realize Patrick would have done this because Patrick would have to go on and do severe torture. But I'm going to assume it's the same Patrick. No fucking photos. I knew it was Rob. And is that Seth on vote? I don't remember Seth. Is that the same Seth? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep the seat outside. I haven't listened to this in probably a couple of years. I remember liking it. I remember it being not as good as Centurion, but this is going to be on the next fucking playlist. I'm going to listen to this again when my next CD I listen to. I'm going to put this off to the side and listen to it again. But yeah, I know it. I remember liking it. It's kind of in the forgotten metal, the forgotten metal. I forgot more metal than you know. That's kind of one of them. But I do remember liking it. I've listened a few times, but yeah, it's kind of just forgot about it, to be honest. But yeah, I remember being good shit, and I'm going to give it a spin next. But if Patrick and Seth are on it from Centurion 2, that's very surprising. Because I did not know that. I just thought it was Rob and maybe Wim, the drummer. So, looking forward to checking that out again. And I saw that this was the main question I wanted to answer. That I saw that. I was like, oh, this would be a good one. I kind of cut it off here of where I was searching. So we'll see what else is after this. Because I thought this would be, I don't know how much I'll say. Maybe it'll be the end of the video. Not. Let's see how long that goes. I don't know. But Nevermore rules. Comments, decent amount of times. Evil Army is great. I think that might have been my first exposure to Hell's Headbangers, actually. Oh, really? Oh, cool. Pretty good first one to get started on. I saw Evil Army opening for Down of all bands. I think Phil is a fan. Actually, I wasn't going to answer that. But I'll answer that too. Kind of just stood to your question marks, but I'll answer. Yeah, what happened to that is Phil kind of fucked us from Down. Is he had his, I don't even know if he still does it. He had his own label, record label, and he was doing shit. And supposedly he liked Evil Army. I know the guys, Rob and shit from Evil Army, said that they met him and they fucking did drugs with them and shit like that too. Wouldn't surprise that. But anyways, I we did what, a one pressing of an LP or whatever. We're gonna do something else, and Phil fucking snagged it from us. And it's not like the first time. Bands go on other labels, etc. It was just kind of annoying because it was fucking Phil. It's like, what was this guy doing a label for? He's Mr. Pantera. Does he even like this shit? Maybe he does. I don't know. But that's why they would have been opening up for Down. So here he introduced them and watched their whole set anyways. Yeah, I heard he does like them, so he probably legitimately does. Here's a question you might have already answered. How did you and your brothers come to meet the guys from Nunslaughter? I figure you had to be close for Jim to ask you to release an album and for an 18-year-old Reaper to get to go to Japan on tour with them. So, how I first met them was, so when I was first going to shows, I always saw Jim. It's kind of like if you go to Cleveland shows, it's funny because there's some guys in the scene that claim they've been going to shows longer than they have been. It's like, dude, I've been going to shows since 98, and I was at pretty much everyone. I don't recall seeing you until, I don't know, 7 years later or so. And it's funny because Jim said the same thing about a few people, and it's just like, if Jim said it, then that's 100% concrete, no doubt about it. Because I was at a lot of shows. Jim was at every show. Like, he would even go to the fucking, kind of like just the one-offs, because he's always lived around the corner. He got in everything for free, too. Like, even if it was just a small local show, a punk show, a hardcore show, metal show, everything, he was at fucking everything, right? So no matter what, you seen him walking around and stuff. He was always wearing the red pants. And I just saw him, the pins in his ears, and, it's fucking wintertime. He's got no jacket on. What the fuck's going on over here? So I always seen him and just knew he was okay. Yeah, I didn't realize he was a Nunslaughter or not the first time I seen him, because at that time, I don't even think Don was living in Ohio yet. I remember when Don first moved here, it was Baxter told me, Nunslaughter's playing tonight. And that might have been in 99 or 2000, so a year or two later. And that's kind of like when Nunslaughter started playing, in a sense, because I remember the first time I saw Nunslaughter, it was either in 99 or 2000, and that's what actually, you're going to see Nunslaughter? I was like, I don't really know him, but yeah, we'll go check out the show. But I know right around that, for talking to Don, that it was just before that he moved from, I don't know if he was living in Pittsburgh right prior, or if that at the time he was living in Hawaii. Might have been he was in Hawaii prior to that, but whatever, because he's lived in both. So he moved to Ohio from that, and then Nunslaughter started doing shows, and then all over too, and they do warm-up shows for like Cleveland shows. Anyway, so I've always seen Jim walking around, didn't really know nothing about Don or nothing like that until I saw them at a show, and I think I saw Nunslaughter first before I met them, so I kind of like, oh, there's that guy walking around, this is the band he's in, right? And so just put two and two together. Okay, that guy, I see him all the time, never really spoken to him or anything, but he's a Nunslaughter. And then what I first officially remember, at least from my memory, the first time I met Jim, I'm almost positive it was outside the 2000 Ohio Death Fest, particularly the year 2000. It was at the Flying Machine, and it was at the end of the show. He was with Dwayne Morris. They were both outside. I believe Dwayne was in the just joined Nunslaughter at the time. I could be wrong about that, or he was going to join really, really soon. It was right around that time. But anyways, they knew each other. They're friends, both Parma guys, and I knew Dwayne. Dwayne was like the second person I ever met going into shows. The first person I met to go on shows, I'll maybe say that as another story time, because there's actually kind of a story about that. He's now dead. But anyways, yeah, leave that for another time. But Dwayne was the second person I met going to shows, and I was like 14. So like 99, yeah, that sounds about right. Started going to shows when I was 13, 98, 99, I definitely met Dwayne. So I'd have been 14, and then 15, 2000 is when I met Jim. And I remember just kind of like, I recognized him, already knew Dwayne pretty well, talked to him several times, always talking to the shows and buying stuff from his merch stands, et cetera, et cetera. And just kind of like, he didn't really introduce us because I kind of knew who Jim was. I just never officially met him, but just, this guy, I think he kind of like, I know these guys or whatever. And Jim, I've seen them around or whatever. And we're talking. What I thought was really like weird about Jim is he didn't really like anything for the most part. Like as far as the bands, like all the bands of the Ohio Death Fest. And he was just there. I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like you didn't like any of the bands?" He's like, "All sounds the same, just that gurgle vocals, trigger drums." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean? Like you don't like any death metal?" He's like, "Yeah, the good old shit." He's like, just talking about like demos and stuff like that. He was talking about the Monstrosity demo. He liked that. I was like, "Do you like the album?" So what do you mean you don't like Imperial Doom? I got the demos, man. And he's talking about Creator, somebody. I was like, okay, so he likes stuff from the fucking 80s. And for whatever reason, and we were getting talking about too, like where do you live or whatever. And I told him, we'll live in Medina, Ohio, Medina. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, I have a pretty good idea. He's like, where in Medina? He was doing like he did something for a delivery company. I don't know if he was delivering like for a company. From what I understood, it seemed like a company similar to Staples. I could be completely wrong on it, but he was a truck driver driving shit around local deliveries. So I think he drove to a bunch of towns. So he's been to Medina, knew about Valley City, shit like that. And he's like, yeah, we're in Medina. I was like, oh, we live on River Styx Road. He's like, he starts laughing. It's like, River Styx, like cross the sticks? I was like, yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Cross the sticks. I was like, oh, so you like Sinister? So, oh, fuck yeah, man. He's like, the demos and the first album. I was like, you don't like Diabolical Summon? He's like, not really. I'm like, what the fuck? So, I mean, that was what I was like, this guy's fucking weird. Like, he doesn't like anything. Like, what the fuck is, like, how do you not like Diabolical Summon? He's just fucking crazy. But I thought he was, and we're just out there shooting the shit for a half hour or so, and he was just really funny and just very, very different. Like, I never met anyone, I'm like, why doesn't this guy like anything? Like, he's so goddamn picky and shit like that. Now, going back, it's kind of like I told the story many times, like, it's what you grew up on. That's what's going to hit you the most. And any new stuff coming out, you're just kind of like, you know what I mean? Because I remember asking about even like Exhumed. And the only thing that was out at the time, it was like gore metal. And he's like, it's okay. I'm like, what do you mean it's okay? This is like the greatest fucking thing ever. But for him, he's already been listening to metal for what? Not maybe 20 years now at this point. So to him, it's just kind of like where I am now. Yeah, I like new shit that comes out, but it's like I'm always going to refer to the shit that I grew up on. And that's why I tell all you guys, even the 18-year-olds and shit now, you'll get there. The ones, the non-posers, the true devils that listen to this shit, you'll still like death metal and shit like that 20 years from now, but you're always going to resort back to the bands that you grew up on, whether it's bands that are coming out now, whatever you heard first, that's what you're going to always cater to do. It's just the way it the fuck is. And yeah, you may still check out new bands in the year 2040 or whatever, but yeah, you're just like, it's not as good as such and such. I'm telling you, that's how it goes, man, because it's the same exact thing happened to me. So now when guys like Jim and Don were saying this kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. I mean, I started figuring this out about 5-6 years ago or so, maybe even a little earlier than that. I'm like, oh, I'm seeing where they're coming from now, because I'm kind of reaching that same category. I'm resorting to what I fucking grew up on always, that I like the most or most excited about or eager to talk about or eager to listen to. So that's how I met Jim. Thought he was very, very interesting then. And then from there, I didn't meet Don until a little while, maybe another year later. I think I was 16 when I met Don. And the reason was for it is after Jim already approached us, and maybe he came out for the Spawn of Satan CD to put out, because he got to know, because after that, after I met Jim, like virtually every single show, we would kind of hang out and talk. Got along really, really well. I think I've even been over his house a couple times in this time frame before meeting Don. So, became pretty comfortable with him, knowing him, and, hanging out with him at the shows. Asked us to do the Spawn of Satan CD, and I think it came out already at this point or whatever, but and then that's when the talk came out, hey, do you want to do something for Nunslaughter? And when that talk came, I think we're like, yeah, be interested in it or whatever. It's like, let me introduce you. You guys met Don? And no, I haven't met him. And so what we did was, so we lived in Medina. We were still living in our parents' house at this time. Jim lived in Parma, and Don lived in Lakewood. Lakewood and Parma are like 10 minutes away from each other, and Lakewood and Parma are both about 35 to 40 minutes from Medina. So what we did is we met halfway point. It was in the city of Brunswick, which ironically enough is the city I live in now. And we would meet up on the McDonald's right off the highway, because it was kind of like halfway point. Okay, we'll drive north to Brunswick, and they'll drive south to Brunswick, kind of meet halfway. Because they're like, I don't really want to drive all the way to fucking Medina. That's kind of what they're saying. And so we met up at McDonald's. So I remember, the very first time I met fucking Don was, outside McDonald's parking lot. He got out of his van or whatever the hell he was driving, and Jim was there, and I was wearing it was me, Eric, and Chase, and I was wearing a Mortician hat. And he's like, oh man, got a Tish hat, huh? So yeah. I was like, you like Mortician? He's like, not really. He's like, I liked the demo was pretty good before they had the drum machine. I'm like, oh man, another fucking weirdo. This guy doesn't like the best shit in the fucking world, right? So right out the gate, as soon as he said that, I'm kind of like, man, this guy's kind of like Jim. He doesn't fucking like anything. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck does this guy like? So then we went in, had lunch at fucking McDonald's, and we're talking deals and shit like that. And I remember asking Don about other bands. I remember asking him about God Dethroned as well. I was like, I don't really like that kind of music. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck does this guy like? And I thought it was kind of cool, though, in a sense, just because I'm like, oh, fuck, well, shit. I mean, I wasn't offended or anything. I just fucking kind of a bunch of fucking weirdos. Only like shit from the 80s. It's kind of whatever, kind of weird. But that's how I met him, and I think that's where we set up the Nunslaughter set next, so that's where we agreed on it. I remember talking about our ideas as far as now we're a label, or going to be a label. And I remember, for whatever, they weren't like, Jim and Don, they weren't like laughing at us, but kind of laughing in a sense. They definitely were laughing, but I wouldn't say like laughing at us, making fun of us. Because I remember telling them some of our ideas. Like I'm like, yeah, I would definitely like to do some vinyl stuff. Like for example, like do LPs of some CDs. And I remember specifically mentioning back then, this is how long this shit fucking took. It's like, yeah, I would like to do like for example, Regurgitation, the Tales of Necrophilia on a vinyl LP. And I remember Jim and Don just started fucking laughing. And I'm like, why is that funny? He says, dude, you know how much that costs? That's fucking expensive as fuck. So we've seen some kids. He's like, oh, yeah, I got to move that. And you got to remember, at this time, too, vinyl wasn't very popular. We're a bunch of kids living in our parents' fucking house. Nobody knows who the hell's Headbangers. Hell's Headbangers is just fucking bunch of nobody. It's just basically a website with some fucking CDs that we, wholesaled or whatever. Just a regular website. Bunch of fucking nobodies, right? So you're throwing out these, these kind of like big projects that like, vinyl's not even very popular, like I said, time. And like, he's like, yeah, you guys are going to come up with $5,000 your own money, and then what if you don't sell them? Like, who the hell's going to buy that? Because at that time, too, especially that brutal death crowd, if you look at it, like late 90s, early 2000s, go and look at all that stuff, dude. None of that stuff was coming out vinyl. None of it. Part of it was because vinyl wasn't popular, and a big part, that crowd didn't buy vinyl. Brutal death, like Deeds of, why do you think none of the Deeds of Flesh are on vinyl? I mean, Path of the Weakening came out picture disc. You occasionally see a picture disc here and there of an album, but like all the Dying Fetuses and shit, like Purification, Violence, Killing on Adrenaline, those weren't on vinyl at the time. None of those were, and those were like the bigger bands. Devourment, Molesting Capital. You think that was on vinyl? Fuck no. A lot of them were. There were a couple here and there, but vast majority of the albums that come out, that look all the Cock and Ball Torture, Levidities, that shit's still not on vinyl. So just do the math. Just go look, and the ones that are on vinyl, did they come out on vinyl just recently, in the last 5 years or so? That's usually the case. Like I said, there's a couple, like, for example, the first two Aborteds, which I have those did come out on vinyl, half-ass version of a vinyl. I believe I showed my fucking records off. Prefer to Taste, I think I did them. Like, those were an exception to the rule. Those came out on vinyl when they came out back in the day, but most of them didn't. So for them, they're just like, dude, that crowd, they don't even buy fucking records, because Nunslaughter was always doing records, 7 inches and shit like that. But that was kind of more like the Nunslaughter, especially then, things were a little different than it is now. It's the metal scene, you know what I mean? Like, that crowd bought vinyl. It's kind of guys from the 80s, old school death metal, you know what I mean? Like, people that bought Nunslaughter was fans of, like Hellhammer, Possessed, Massacre, Death, and they were probably older guys for the most part and collected records. So there was still a little bit of a niche for vinyl on that, even though vinyl was definitely considerably smaller. But those were the type of bands that A, did a vinyl, and if B, if they did, it didn't just fucking just sit. Because again, even to this day, just because you put something out, that doesn't mean it's going to fucking sell. Do you have a means of getting rid of it? So guys all the time, I can put out a vinyl, I can put this out, I can put this. Like, okay, great, you're going to move 30 copies, you're going to be sitting on the rest of the pressing. You lost your fucking ass as far as money-wise. If you have no problem with that, then no problem. But you're not going to be doing release after release after release. It's going to be compounding. Like, okay, fuck, I'm 20 grand in debt. You know what I mean? In no time. So they knew this because, Don's already pressed several records. Jim pressed several records because Jim was doing like Schnauzer records and stuff like that and other things he's done. So we've never pressed a record at this point. So they knew about it and we didn't, you know what I mean? So they kind of got a chuckle out of that. But I mean, full circle. I mean, like I said, I didn't take it as offense like they're laughing. I was like, hey, these dumb kids, just kind of laughing like it. Kind of like if somebody, honestly, if a 16-year-old was to kind of tell me that today, even with vinyl being much more popular, I'd be kind of like, hey, cool, good idea. That's what we did, but good motherfucking luck. It's more work than you think. But if you're willing to do it, then it can work out. Oh, and then as far as Reaper, then, yeah, so he was like 17 when he met, 17 when he joined fucking Nunslaughter, and then, yeah, he was 18. It was shortly after. And I can't remember if the exact reason was just for the Japan tour or if just because they needed a bass player in general, but it was definitely soon after he joined that they went to Japan. And what it was, they knew that we had another brother, and that they played bass. He was doing Crucify Mortals. And whatever bass player left, it might have been Grimm at the time, Brian Bergeron. He was the bass. Maybe he was the current one that left. Can't remember if there's anybody in between him and Reaper. Drawing a blank, I can't remember. But they need a bass player, and they kind of asked us, and it's like, oh, I don't, ask around. And, they came to this is a couple of years later at this point then. They came to our house and talked to Craig, and I didn't really stand over their shoulder. And it worked out. That's, he obviously agreed, and he went. But they met Craig through us, kind of, oh, you got a brother, he plays bass. And I think that Jim was first, he heard Crucial Moles, like, oh, this is pretty good shit. And this guy can play, and okay, cool. Like, would he be interested? And then they talked to him and liked him, and, I guess, like, come to practice and try out. I'm assuming that's how it went down. Again, when it came to all that, I didn't stand over the shoulder, but I mean, I was, kind of there when it went down. But things going on. And kind of just like, oh, whatever, you're not really paying attention, Didn't really think it was going to become, be anything. Looking back at it, I mean, obviously, Craig could answer the thing in more detail. Next goddamn question. Not too many questions on here. I noticed that before looking through. A lot of fucking comments, though. From Carpenter Corpse. Great video, Braba. I fucking love Devastation Chicago. First person to say in the comments. God that right, man. Some of my all-time favorite demos. Been meaning to grab the shirt from HHR. Yeah, I have that shirt myself. Great fucking, like, I love that design. I actually remember when they first came in, I was like, oh, that's fucking great. Because nobody has a fucking Devastation Chicago shirt, you know what I mean? Question, did you ever get into skateboarding growing up? No, dude, I tried getting on a skateboard like once when I was like, I don't know, 12 or something like that. Dude, I couldn't stay on for fucking 10 seconds. So this is hard as fuck. And it just never interested me, so I didn't really care. It was like a friend that had it or whatever. I was like, oh, let me try it out. I'm like, oh, it's hard as fuck. But it wasn't like something that I had a passion for doing, so I didn't really care either way. The old Thrasher skate rock cassette comps were a big influence on me back in the 80s. Opened up a lot of doors for finding punk and metal bands. Thanks, dog. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I don't really know much about thrash skate rock cassette comp. Not familiar with them. I mean, that was before my time. You said in the 80s. Fuck, I was born in the 80s, so. Really quick from Synthetic Life. Hey, J-Dog, is Hell's going to have a booth at Maryland Death Fest this year? We are not, and I'm probably not going, too. I mean, granted, I didn't get fucked, I guess. Kind of got fucked because I wanted to go to see Hemorrhage, but I'm glad I didn't buy my ticket yet. They fucking canceled. Just like I said they fucking would. I'm telling you, if J-Dog wants to see it, you better hope J-Dog doesn't like something or want to see it, and then you're a fan as well, because, dude, I get pissed all over all the fucking time. Just bent over, fucked in the ass, and pissed in the face. Because, yeah, I heard they canceled. Again, like, I'm at least glad I didn't get my ticket yet. So I'm like, all right, well, guess I'm not fucking going. Because there's other bands that I wouldn't mind, like, seeing. Like, Niflheim would be good. For example, like, Niflheim, I never really brought them up, but the first Niflheim record, Niflheim, that's literally one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. That record is fucking a masterpiece. After that, I just think the other albums are just okay. The second album was That's Devil's Force. That one's good, too. After that, I kind of like, they don't suck, but I don't need them. I don't own them. Don't want them. So I just own the first two, and really the only one I really listen to is the first one. However, they do look like they'd be cool as hell fucking live, so I'd be into seeing them. But I'm not like 6-hour drive want to see them. Impale was another band, but I've seen Impaled, and I thought Impale was a great fucking live band. Again, I've seen them, and how are they going to be as good as they were back in the day? Probably not. Let's call it like it is. But I mean, if I'm there, I'd want to see them. But I'm not going to make a special goddamn 6-hour trip. Which is not convenient by any fucking stretch for just some bands. I'm like, okay, I've either seen these bands before or I like one record by, because that's a lot like what a lot of it was. So the only main draw for me was Hemorrhage, and I was really wanting to see Birdflesh too, which they played Sunday, so I was already kind of pissed about that too. But if it was like Hemorrhage and Birdflesh, especially on the same date, I'm like, I'm definitely going. But since they fucking raped me, then I guess I'm not going. And we're not having a stand this year. The reason we're not having a stand is because, I mean, dude, we didn't even know for sure when the fuck's the next one going to be. Ever since, I mean, the last one was 2019, so ever since Wimp did, this is the first one. Rules and regulations. Good chance we'll have one next year. No talk of it yet, or said anything, or we didn't pay for the fucking the tent or anything. But be into it, I'm sure. And Eric's usually the one that Eric did it alone the last 1 year, possibly 2 years for sure. And he seems to like doing it. And, I wouldn't mind tagging along again. I've done it because I enjoy doing it too. We'll see. But possibly next year up. But this year, no, we definitely will not be there. From Ricky J, what's an album cover you would like to see printed on a t-shirt? Ooh, there's definitely, I can tell you one for sure. Impale, Dead Shall Dead Remain. I used to have the original shirt of that. Outgrew it. I definitely like someone to repress that. I've kind of asked around, haven't got a solid answer. Actually, the funny fact is, going to Maryland for Impaled playing MDF, that was one of the things I was going to ask Ross. I have Ross's email, but it's like 20 years old, like literally 20 years old. So I don't know if he still uses it. I assume he's like everyone else and just uses all this Facebook and all this other shit that I don't have. So I was just going to ask him in person, hey, Ross, do you mind if Hells does some Impaled Dead Shall Dead Remain t-shirts? Huge feeling he's going to say no, though, because I asked Ross probably about 7 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, but a while ago now, for Hells to do a LP of the original recording. And he said no, not because he was against it, because he said Necropolis Records owns that. And the guy that owns Necropolis Records, he lives in like some tropical island now or some bullshit. I might have gotten that part wrong in the story, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Wants nothing to do with the business, nothing. So in my mind, I'm just kind of like, I mean, I understand as a business thing, like he maybe I'm just like, well, fuck that guy, just put it out. But he's not gonna bitch. Who's he? And it's like, and if he comes, like, we'll just, I don't know, we'll give you 10% of the pressing or something, man. Or here's $500. Shut the fuck up. So because it's like you're not doing anything anyways. It's not like it's not really a money thing. It's just kind of like you're just holding up the game, man. Now things can't happen because you're some fucking canoe living wherever, and it's like, well, you know what I mean. But the problem would be too is like then you'd have to scan it from a CD because goddamn well the band don't have files. I don't even need to ask to know that. And then so if Necropolis even did get a hold of him, A, he's not gonna be interested. B, he's gonna say no. And C, if he did, he don't got the files fucking no more. He's fucking hitting the waves and goddamn who knows where. So that on T-shirt, but I'm sure it's gonna be a no for the same reason as the LP. Be my guess. And then also, I really want it, which I want Hells to do as well, which I told Chase to ask him, but I'm sure he never did. Is the Pharmacist Medical Renditions LP? That one on T-shirt too. Because those are two I would like for myself. But the Impaled technically at one point had it. Getting close to 30 minutes here, guys, so I will find one more and answer them. Here we go. From Imperio Nocturnal. Wow, I'm surprised you even know who the fuck that is, man. Yo, Justin, any thoughts on Nasser El-Sanbati and Paul Dillet in their prime? Do you think Nasser got close to defeating Dorian? I also met Marcus Rule here in Bolivia. Fuck, he came to Bolivia? Really? Fuck, that's cool. No other pro bodybuilder of this caliber has ever been here. Oh, that makes sense. I didn't think any of them fucked in Bolivia. What the fuck was he doing in Bolivia? Like doing a guest posing or shocked he didn't been there? Total size freak. Oh, yeah, dude. Marcus. The thing is, when I met him in 2017, 18. He's already long retired for like 10 years. Dude, he's fucking like, that's why I think it's so funny when people come up to me like, man, dude, you're fucking big. You're big. I'm like, dude, you never get out of your house or go into a real gym. You'll see what big is. Like, I'm not big. Like, yeah, I'm bigger than a regular guy walking around Walmart who's never touched a weight in his life. But in the all in all, I'm not big because when I met Marcus, he's long retired. He's pushing 50 years old. He's still fucking bigger than me. So when he was competing, dude, he was fucking behemothly fucking. He was freaky as fuck. But yeah, but when I met him, I got my phone. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker's still fucking. He's retired and he's bigger than me. I mean, he was considerably downsized, but still bigger. That's why I laugh when people tell me I'm big. I'm like, dude, you've never seen big if you think I'm fucking big. Nobody like total freak size. Thanks for the video. 6 a.m. is the goddamn Devil's Hour. Got that goddamn 6 a.m. Devil's Hour. Goddamn it. Yeah, I was a big fan of Nasser, Paul Dillet, and Dorian. I definitely think. Yeah, I think in the 1997 Olympia, I definitely would have had Nasser winning. However, I only seen photos, and this is true. You'll hear on a lot of bodybuilding channels like that. Seeing photos and being at the actual show, even seeing videos and being at the actual show is not the same whatsoever. And I know because I've been to the Olympia several times, and you can see photos and stuff like, especially when Phil Heath was beating Kai Green. I was there those years. I was there in person. And once Phil walked out and Kai walked out individually and side by side, I'm like, Phil's 100% winning. Like 1,000% he's winning. Like, no doubt in my mind. He's definitely the hands down winner. But people looking at photos, yeah, Kai should have won. I'm like, no, dude, I was there. No, he shouldn't have. It's different. Like, you're looking at a standstill photo. Hell, I can even look at, if I take a photo of myself in the mirror and then looking at myself just moving around in real time, it's not the same look. It's just not at all. It's totally fucking different. And videos, they don't capture everything. And videos, you're not in 3D. You know what I mean? You're just getting like a 2D and a photo. That's just one snap and shot. And people, they'll look at one pose, one shot, like a front double bicep, like, oh, Nasser's beating him. I'm like, there's like 6 other fucking poses. You're seeing one just picture, not even like in real time, right? So I wasn't there. Based on the photos, I did have Nasser winning as well. And there is people that I heard that were at the shows, guys, that they did have Nasser winning as well. But I heard other guys saying they were at the show, and they said, I probably would have Nasser winning, but it wasn't like he blew him away. Like it was still close. So, because you look at some of the photos, you're like, oh, fuck, this is pretty obvious. Nasser wins, right? And then Paul Dillet. I think Paul Dillet is, he's one of those guys that said in other videos, he's kind of like one of the fucking lazy bodybuilders that if he wasn't lazy, like if he had the headspace of fucking like Dorian Yates or something, the work ethic, he would have been beating everybody. He had to have probably the best genetics of anyone ever, probably. But I mean, I mean, I know all the stories. I mean, just his training, he's curling 25-pound dumbbells and shit. and just lazy trainer. And anyone here's a general thumb: if they're lazy in the gym, I guarantee motherfucking to you they're lazy on their diet, because that's going to the gym. It's like, what do you mean? This is the fucking fun part. Like, that shit's fun. You can't do that. You're fucked when it comes to diet, and especially as you get real lean and you're fucking starving all the time, because you will be. You're fucked. You have no chance of surviving that. If you're too weak minded to fucking go balls out in the fun part inside the gym, there's no way you're surviving a fucking diet. Guarantee you. And I know, because I write people with diets up all the time. I'll give them something briefly, especially if they're not paying me. Which anybody wants to fucking diet advice or anything written up, I'll write up protocols too. Just email me, but it's I'm not doing it for free. But if it's friends or family, I'll write them up something simple, something super easy to follow. Oh, and I'm like, there's no, they'll be off this wagon in 2 weeks. Guarantee fucking you, they're not going to do it, because you got to have it up fucking here to fucking begin with to do it. And the thing is the concept is so fucking easy. It's just the monotony and the discipline to do it day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month. You got to be mentally strong. And that's part of the reason I love bodybuilding, because if you're doing it super successfully and you're not a genetic fucking freak, you're mentally fucking strong. But someone like Paul Dillet, he kind of was just coasted on his genetics. I'm not going to say he didn't work hard at all, because he had to have, but he coasted on genetics for sure. Like, he was just so fucking genetically gifted. So it's like, yeah, dude, if you did what Dorian was doing, you probably would have won fucking. You would have been beating Ronnie. Oh, you would have had 10 fucking Olympias. You would have been destroying all these guys. But, you got to have both. You got to have the work ethic, the mindset, and the fucking genetics. Usually guys have just one or the other. Like, there's guys at my gym, they compete and shit. They have no chance in hell of turning pro, but they have the work ethic. And they're just killing themselves with fucking mass amounts of food and drugs and shit like that. And they're much older now too. It's like, dude, you're never going to turn pro ever. It's just, you don't genetically have it. You don't have the genetics to do it. Again, if you're 5'5" and you play basketball every day, you can get better at playing basketball. You can get good at playing basketball, but you're not going to make it to the NBA because you're genetically too short. It's not going to fucking happen. So same fucking thing. But then some guys have the genetics. they're fucking lazy as shit, but they get decently far because the genetics are just so fucking good. Fucking sucks. Not, it's unfair as fuck, but it is what the fuck it is. So, yeah, that's what I think about those guys. Yeah, Nasser, Dorian, and Paul thought they were fucking awesome. And Marcus, I was a fan of all those 90s guys and early 2000s and shit. I'm a fan of a lot of the guys today, too, still. So anyways, that's it for this one, Devils. Keep the fucking comments coming, rolling. You know anything, metal, non-metal, anything. Ask me whatever the fuck you want. And I'll get them fucking answered. And that's it for this one. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Devils time. God damn it. Later.